So, guys, of course, we've been covering the downfall of Sean Diddy Combs, including the new indictment that we've learned a lot of details about. But we're lucky to be joined this morning by a longtime friend of mine and fantastic journalist, Torre, who has a new Substack. Tell people where to find your new work, Torre.
Culture Fries is the name of the Substack. It's torre.substack.com. Doing a lot of reporting on the Diddy situation there.
Amazing. Awesome. So Torre has a new report up this morning that looks specifically at some exclusive details of how R&B singer Cassie was trapped in what you describe as a 10-year nightmare. In the headline, you say how Diddy used her album to control her. And you were able to speak with some folks who were close to Cassie. So talk to us about some of these new details that have yet to be revealed.
Yeah, I had a long conversation with a longtime friend of Cassie's. She was working on an album for 10 years. This is an incredibly long time to work on an album. She thought she was really working on an album. She had songwriters, she had hot producers, she had big artists coming in, rappers and singers to collab with her. They made a lot of songs, but there was never a release date. There was never a title. It was never intended to come out. It was a giant pacifier to keep her happy in between the times when Diddy was ready to do freak-offs. And it became this carrot of, if you want to continue doing the album, which you love, then you got to do the freak-offs. It has to be both. It can't be one or the other. And this is a way that he controlled a lot of people. If you want to stay around me, you got to participate in this over here, whatever it is that I want you to do. And that way you get to continue pursuing your professional dream. So it's really tragic. The best years of her creative life were spent thinking she was working on her sophomore album and about to blow up. Great label, Diddy's behind me, we're gonna be huge, but it was all a sham.
Yeah, and so just so people recall, I mean, first of all, Cassie had some certified bangers, some great hits, super talented, beautiful. I mean, she had everything that it took. And then she also is, in part, the person who helps to kick off this whole series of events that leads to the federal charges against Diddy, because they had that look-back law in New York that allowed her to file civil charges against him. He settles quickly, but not before a lot of the details emerge of her allegations of years and years of torture and abuse by Diddy. She also is the woman who appears in that horrifying hotel security camera footage where he is beating her and dragging her back to the hotel room. So Cassie is really central to this. And I think what's part of what's been important about your reporting, and your reporting here in particular, is that it centers the survivors here as well and really helps to share the level of abuse and trauma that they went through over years. Oh, and she also is the one who, possibly Diddy may have blown up her boyfriend Kid Cudi's car in the driveway too, because we have the arson charges in this federal indictment that haven't been detailed yet.
Part of the thing is that people are saying, how did this happen? How did Cassie rise up to stand up to him when so many other people wanted to and didn't feel comfortable because Diddy was so powerful? She's able to escape from him when Kim Porter suddenly passes away. He's so bereft and upset about that he's not really paying attention to anything. And so she's able to escape. Within a few months of basically running away from him, she's pregnant. She's in a committed relationship. She ends up marrying this man. At the end of the year, she has his baby. And by then, she's in a whole thing. She has a whole new life. And she is too far gone for Diddy to be able to get her back. And in that moment, going through rehab, going through therapy, having her parents, her friends, a husband who's supportive, children, she changes and she grows. And she's saying to herself, I want to be the stand-up person that I want my kids to be. I want to be a good example for them. And that leads her to say, I have to stand up for the girl I was, because the girl I was, who he controlled and beat up, I'm not that person anymore. And I need to stand up for her. And at that point, she says, I'm going to stand up to him. And so many people were afraid to do that. And she breaks that glass ceiling and pushes in there. She says to him, look, I wrote a book. For $30 million, you can have the book. You'll have my silence. Nobody will have to know what happened. But this person, Puffy, is surrounded by enablers. And nobody around him anybody around who might say no is pushed off.
Right.
And so he's surrounded by enablers. He has this is an obvious deal. 30 million is nothing to him. He's a billionaire at this point. He says no. And then she goes forward with the lawsuit. Then everybody hears what happens. Then the federal government's like, wait. What happened? And then all this starts. But he could have stopped this, but he never thought that she was strong enough to actually stand up to him because she never had.
Well, yeah, it's decades of the abuse that he had. Tori, you got quite a bit of attention. You put out a TikTok that detailed the Diddy story and how it was actually personal to you. Why don't we take a listen to some of that? That's going to be F2, guys, and we're going to get your reaction.
The Diddy situation is personal for me. I take no joy in the man's downfall. I just want to see justice. But I, too, felt his wrath. I knew this man for decades. I interviewed him many times. I went to some of his PG-rated parties. We had a professional relationship until something happened.
So tell us a little bit about that. Can you expand on what happened?
Yeah, I had a family member who was trying to break into the entertainment business. I felt like this is a situation where I should use my connections. I called Puff. I had never asked him for a favor. We didn't have like a personal relationship. We didn't hang out, but we had a definite years-long professional relationship. Will you please, hire my family member to be an intern in your situation, because I thought that would be good for him, break into the music business. For about 3 months, it was very exciting. They had a great time traveling around, go to the mansions, whatever. And then the whole internship suddenly stopped. And I'm calling and saying, hey, what's going on? How come you're not going to the internship? You're not going to work? And it was silence for years. I did not find out until years later that Puffy had said to him, either you come home with me tonight or the internship is over. Ooh. And at that point, I was blown away that had happened, that had been said. My family member said no, which ended the internship. And, I was shocked. I was hurt. I was blown away that Puffy would do that.
One of the questions that's emerged now is if this was just like an open secret in the industry. I mean, the number of people who were likely involved, the number of other individuals who had stories similar to the one that you were privy to or worse. I mean, you have been around this scene. You've interviewed a lot of the major players. Was that your sense, was that this was sort of an open secret? Had you heard other rumors within the industry?
I mean, to a certain extent, surely if I thought that I was putting my beloved family member, who I'm very close to and love immensely, if I thought I was putting them into any sort of danger of the sort we now know is possible, I wouldn't have done this at all, right? So I could not have known the extent of what we were talking about at all.
Yeah.
Did I hear? I mean, I don't know. I don't really remember feeling like, oh my God, I know everybody is saying, oh my God, I heard back when I was in middle school, this was going on. I really don't know how prevalent this was as far as the rumors getting around. We knew about his violence. We knew, he threatened me. He threatened Danielle Smith at Vibe. He beat up Steve Stout. We knew that he had this massive temper.
He threatened you?
Yeah. There was a record review that I wrote where I criticized one of the lines that he said, and he called me and he was very nice in saying, can you please remove that line? Because that is annoying and hurtful to me. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to remove that line. And then he starts screaming and yelling at me and like, I'm going to ruin your career and all this stuff. And like, Jesus. I kind of stopped listening because it was a very loud, angry volume. It was like, oh my God, like whatever. And then he sort of and I'm not really responding to that. And then he sort of comes down like emotionally and he's like, so can we remove that line? And I'm like, no, we cannot just remove that line. And that ended that. But I thought that we had gotten back to a place of equanimity. Like he pushed me, he challenged me, I stood my ground. And not long after that, I got invited to a white party in the Hamptons, which was this fabulous daytime affair, everyone wearing white. It was very cute. But he was sitting right next to me and dressing me down quite forcefully. And he was very upset with me. And, it was one of those things that I was like, wow, like he's got quite a temper.
Wow. So he invited you there basically to like humiliate you effectively, or to have a chance to yell at you in public.
I don't know. I don't know if it was that. This is a person who's very mercurial and changes. He could have screamed at me in a way that caused others to look. I don't think others who were at that party would remember or were conscious of, oh, Puff has given it to Touré.
Yeah.
He may have said, all right, forget it. Let's move forward and embrace him and help make him think like he's still cool with us. And then saw me and got mad. And then, I saw multiple emotional reactions in the phone conversation, right? So I don't know that it was a setup. I mean, that would be a long way to go for a setup. I don't think it was that. I think that he just changes emotionally from moment to moment. There's so many moments when he does something, he gets super triggered and explodes. And then next thing you know, he's on his knees begging someone to please forgive him for what he did. So there's rapid emotional changes coming from this person.
And Touré, there's obviously a lot of chatter about who could potentially be caught up in this next. Are there other big name celebrities who may also be implicated, who may also go down? Because, I mean, the federal government is alleging this is a racketeering scheme, like this was a criminal enterprise. Do you have any insight into who's getting nervous, who should be nervous, if anyone's nervous, any of that?
I mean, there's one name. I mean, Cuba Gooding Jr. did some things that should have him nervous. These are in a criminal complaint that's already a lawsuit that's already out there. But here's the thing. A lot of people seem to think that Puff will be able to snitch on others and thus reduce his time or get out of this entirely. And that completely misunderstands the situation that we are in and what it means to cooperate with the government. He would have to say, I can tell you about a massive criminal conspiracy far bigger than the one that I am involved in and one that you need me to help you. Like if he's a mid-level mobster and the government is like, we don't know how to get the top guy. And he's like, I can explain to you how to get the top guy, or I can explain to you how to take down this other family. That is something. But Puff cannot say, hey, you know what? This rapper, this basketball player, this governor, whatever, came to my party and he did X, Y, and Z. Okay, that's a year off your sentence. No. You are the ringleader of this. You are the facilitator and creator of the situation. There's no way that he's going to be able to talk his way out of this.
Gotcha.
Got it.
Well, guys, go give Touré a follow, subscribe on Substack, Culture Fries, and also over on TikTok, where people have been very interested in what you have to say as we are here as well, and very grateful for your time. Always great to see you, my friends.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show, ad-free, and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.